Katrin and I'm a Senior Human Rights Officer at the British Institute of Human Rights, but many years ago, in a past life, I also used to work as an advocate, and my role as an advocate essentially involved working together with people in partnership to support them to say what they want and to be heard, as well as to access services and their rights. And I worked for a generic advocacy service aimed at adults who identified as having a disability. So that meant we didn't provide support around one specific issue, but rather supported on lots and lots of different things. So for example, access to community care and support, housing, interactions with the children's social services, interactions with the police, benefits issues, lots of different topics that we supported people to be heard and to be listened to. When I worked as an advocate, the Human Rights Act was something that kept popping up, but no one really seemed to know how to use it or what was in it. It was just something that was mentioned, but then not really addressed. So I went along to a workshop by BIHR at which our CEO, Sanchita, was speaking. And I remember having that light bulb moment that we always speak about at BIHR, where everything just suddenly clicked. And I remember thinking, oh, finally, here is something practical. Here is something tangible that I can use to back up the arguments that I am already making to support the people that I am working with. And I remember just thinking, this is something that makes sense for all of us. It's relevant to all of us. It's about our daily lives and how we interact with all of the services that are around us. And for me as an advocate, I found it incredibly empowering. And I went on to find out more and more about human rights. I used it more and more in my work, and it completely changed my practice. There are lots of things that I've learned as part of my role as a Senior Human Rights Officer, which would be really, really amazing to have had as an advocate. So for example, I've really built up my own knowledge and confidence about the Human Rights Act and all the different ways people have used that act to achieve change. And I think that's probably the most important thing that I wish I'd had when I was an advocate, is hearing those stories of change, understanding all the different ways in which people have used the Human Rights Act to make things better for themselves or for the people that they love or work with. And I think that's actually an amazing thing that we do at BIHR, is to collect those stories, to amplify stories and to share those stories. And certainly for me as an advocate, if I'd been kind of more aware of them, it would have given me much more confidence to ask questions and to challenge, knowing that other people had already successfully done that. My advice to advocates who want to use the Human Rights Act more in their role is, don't be afraid to use the Human Rights Act. Don't be afraid to ask for rights to be met, which all of us are entitled to because we are human beings. And using the Human Rights Act will give you a clarity, it will give you a focus, it will give you a legal framework to back up many of the arguments that you are already making. And if you do want to develop your knowledge or your confidence about the Human Rights Act, we have lots and lots of different resources, lots of information on our website about each different right and how people have used them in their own lives to achieve change. And you could spend some time as well thinking about the different rights in the Human Rights Act and where they match and cross over into the areas that you support people with. So areas around autonomy, well-being, are people being involved in making decisions about their own lives? Are people being detained without any safeguards? Are people on the receiving end of policies which are blanket policies and don't have room for individual needs or decision making? Are public officials interpreting other laws in a way that is compatible with human rights? Lots of different areas to think about and to cross over back into the different rights under the Human Rights Act. And then finally, you're not asking people to do you a favour. You're not asking people to be nice or kind of doing an add-on just by thinking about human rights. Human rights are the law. They are backed up by a legal framework, and every single public official has a duty to respect, protect and fulfil human rights. And knowing that and feeling confident about that will really support you in your own work as an advocate.